This is Wisconsin Sports on the Go with Trage, your place for all things Wisconsin sports. Now, your host, Trage.
How we doing, everybody, and welcome in to Wisconsin Sports on the Go with Trage. I'm your host, Trage, as we come back to you here on this October 22nd. We're at the end of the month. You guys know what that means. The sporting world is getting crazy. We got the World Series coming up. NBA's tipping off. College football's in, well, the full swing of things, except if you're the Wisconsin Badgers. We don't even know what they're doing. We got NFL going on. It's craziness. It's craziness. Men's college basketball is almost back. We got the Badgers coming up here soon, taking on Oklahoma in that exhibition game. It is wild. It is absolutely wild right now here. It's so crazy. We're starting off the show tonight here with Christian going to be hopping on right off the bat. So we're going to get to him in a minute here, but right away, I hope you guys are enjoying your Wednesday so far. The Wednesday that is, it's been a good week so far. It's been a good week so far. So I hope you guys are enjoying your Wednesday and your week. But Christian is here right off the bat tonight here. Christian, how we doing? It's Wednesday. You're back from your 2-week hiatus from us. We were concerned. Badgers haven't scored a touchdown since you left, so it's been bad. I mean, Christian, how we doing on this Wednesday?
We're good. I think I must be the bad luck guy, right? I'm gone and we don't score a point in 2 weeks.
I don't even know what it is anymore. We lost to Maryland, man. After that Maryland loss, I don't know what's what.
I think everyone fell off the wagon after the Maryland loss.
Well, you know what? It didn't hurt, I guess, to lose to Ohio State, because even the first touchdown pass of the game against Ohio State, that was a great catch. Tate made a great catch over top of two guys. It was just a great throw, a great catch. Nothing you could really do about it in that one. Tate made a couple good plays. They actually did really good on Smith. It's just Tate had a good game. And Julian Sayin was fantastic. I didn't think he was actually going to throw an incompletion on the day. The run defense looked good. So, I mean, there was some good, I guess, you can look at in that Ohio State game. But we're not going to start there. We want to start with the direction of the program. And that's what Chris McIntosh came out and wrote us the letter, right? The letter from Chris McIntosh to Badger faithful. Basically, to summarize the whole letter, if you haven't read it yet, I'm not going to read the whole thing off because I just lose my mind reading it. But basically, to sum it all up, is Chris McIntosh said he could have saved time. This is what Big Cat on Barstool said too. He's like, he could have saved time and just said, I really want to keep my job, even though I've been objectively bad at it. So here's my plan. Here's my plan is what he said. He's going to invest more money into the football program. He's going to put more into this football program because Luke Fickell has his commitment. Christian, we read this letter. We hear Chris McIntosh kind of talk to us. Apparently, from what I heard, and this was just on the camp with Jesse Temple and Zach Heilprin I was listening to, but apparently he told a player that Luke Fickell is going to be back next year, which, if that's true, I don't know how you say that right now with the rest of the schedule still on the docket here and a lot of Badger faithful already getting upset. You've already had ticket sales drop for next season already. I mean, it's just madness. Christian, you hear all this. What are your thoughts on Chris McIntosh basically telling us Luke Fickell's my guy and he's going to stay?
Yeah, I mean, I think he is going to be back next year, right? That's everything I've heard too. But yeah, even I think I saw someone tweeted a video of Jake Renfro. He met with the media this week, and he got the same idea. He even basically said, Fickell and the coaching staff will be back next year, and I don't know. He said the locker room was all fired up and they were hooting and hollering and doing all that. And I mean, I don't know. I guess if they all like each other and everything, then I mean, I guess that's good, right? But I don't know. For me, I just personally look at that and go, how can you be super excited about, outside of, I guess, the inflow of potential cash coming to improve the roster or coaching staff? I don't know how you can be excited about, where they're at right now, but I don't know. But as far as his letter goes, I mean, I think that just sounds like a guy who, took a huge swing on his first hire. And I mean, let's be honest, everyone thought it was a great hire, right?
Yeah.
I thought I was over the moon ecstatic about it because I thought I didn't think Wisconsin would ever be able to get a guy like Fickell, someone who was mentioned with Notre Dame and, things like that job. Right. But I think that sounds like a guy who's, not quite ready to admit he had a bad hire. Or I mean, it's kind of like what you see with GMs and quarterbacks in the NFL, or even head coaches, they make their hire, that's their guy. And that's kind of your legacy, right? So Fickell is McIntosh's legacy. I don't think he's quite ready to let it go. So he's trying to exhaust all the options before he actually has to fire him. So, getting the Board of Regents, all the higher ups like on board and convincing them that Fickle's the guy and just saying, yeah, actually we need more money to fix this problem. I mean, it just sounds like a guy who's not quite ready to admit he was wrong.
The biggest question is, why wasn't it already there? Why wasn't this money? If there's this money, why wasn't it already invested into your football program? As your football program is supposed to be the thing that funds basically everything else.
Mm-hmm.
The more irrelevant the football program gets, the lesser it seems like this. I mean, it's what funds everything. Your football program is what makes you money as a university. Basically, men's basketball can only do so much. The volleyball team can do so much. Football is your moneymaker, and if you don't have a football team, well, it's a problem. So I guess this is my question. If Luke Fickell stays, and this was a question I heard, I can't remember who asked this question. It baffled. Maybe it was on the camp too. It's with Zach Heilprin and Jesse Temple, but they asked a question. I kind of wanted to talk about it here. If Luke Fickell stays, could it cause more problems? Could it actually hurt the program and make it go years with more problems? Could it actually cause more problems giving him that extra year? Where it derails this program even further, where it's even more unfixable for the next hire. What do you think? Like, if you bring him back, could that be the case?
I mean, I feel like it probably could. I mean, they're already going downhill pretty quick, right? I think part of that too is, I think we talked about this a little bit too, is in-state recruiting. And I saw something like, Brad Nortman, former Badger punter. He actually is like on one of the ESPN Milwaukee radio shows. I saw something with him today where he was talking about like high school football coaches. Like, they say there's like no presence from Fickell. Like, he doesn't talk to any of them. He won't go to these like fundraising events, all this stuff. I mean, how true that is, but it doesn't really seem like he's putting in a ton of effort to like keep Wisconsin kids in state. So, I mean, because I think he's more about trying to like recruit nationally, and I think because he talked about that when he was hired, he's like, he didn't realize how big of a brand the Wisconsin football brand was and how much recruiting power they had nationally. So I think that probably, I don't know if it went to his head or what, or he just kind of thinks, okay, I like the in-state kids will come. I got to focus on, the big boys nationally, And I think especially now, like the 2026 recruiting class in Wisconsin is absolutely loaded. It's just like that one that had Carson Hinsman and Joe Brunner and all those. And, it's just like that again. Like, there's Kors Loken, I think is how you say his name, the kid from Iola, one of the best tight ends in the country. Cole Reeder from somewhere by Milwaukee. Like, he's like, they're loaded with like 4-star talent. And I feel like, I don't know, how hard are they really going at him,
Yeah.
So to answer your question, I guess, I mean, if he just continues to do the same thing, like, how many in-state kids are going to want to go play at Wisconsin? And that was like the bread and butter under Barry Alvarez, right?
Yep.
So I think,
even the guys after.
Yeah, I think you could definitely. I mean, hard to say because they've lost 5 in a row and they look like probably the worst Power 4 team in the country. But like, I think you could probably get worse, right? So I mean, maybe if he continues doing what he's doing, maybe. I don't know. Maybe the transfer portal is the key to it too. More money coming in, they can buy better players and they can slap a big Band-Aid on it and salvage it. But I don't know, man.
Yeah, and the problem with letting the in-state guys go is where those guys are going. Minnesota, Iowa, they're going to these teams that are beating you now. Your guys that's the thing, is like the guys Wisconsin used to recruit are going to Illinois, Iowa, Minnesota, the guys that they used to target, the linemen, the tight ends, all of that. Now they're going to these schools who are now beating the snot out of you. So you are allowing them to leave the state, get out of the state and go elsewhere. I saw a lineman that went to Notre Dame now. He's one of the better linemen in the country. He's on Notre Dame. He's from Wisconsin there. Just seeing guys like that and seeing them be successful elsewhere and knowing Wisconsin wasn't even in the running for him. Even like Paul Christ was going after those guys. Jim Leonard could have recruited the state of Wisconsin. He would have recruited the state of Wisconsin. He didn't want to travel to recruit. He would have recruited the state of Wisconsin because he's here. So he would have loved that. That's where I guess my biggest problem, one of my biggest problems with this Badger program is they don't develop the talent that's here. Which guy, if you had to pick one where you looked at him in this Badger program, which guy has gotten better? I can't think of one because when I look at Christian Allegro this year, did he really get better from last year? I don't think so. You look at guys like, I was just thinking of a guy off the top of my wide receiver, Vinny Anthony. Did he truly get better going into this year? I don't know. I don't think so.
Like they can't even get him the ball.
No.
I mean, that's what's so hard to tell. Like you can't tell because like their offense is so dysfunctional. I mean, so offensively, I can't name one player. You'd like to say Joe Brunner. You'd like to say Riley Mullman.
But does that start up front then? You have no offensive line who can block, so you start there. Yeah. Did any of those guys get better in the offseason? No.
I honestly don't think so, no.
No. And it is a health problem too. I can see that. It is a health problem, getting guys healthy. And maybe, just maybe, maybe if you have all your guys healthy, Billy Edwards never got hurt. Jake Renfro never got hurt. The offensive line's been steady a go, right? Maybe it looks a little bit better, but not 37 points to Iowa better.
Oh, man.
Not, 27-10 better against me. I don't think it looks better in those games. I really don't.
I feel like we see regression.
Yeah, week after week.
What happened to Ricardo Hallman?
That's another one. That's the guy I was thinking of when I was going to say development of players. Ricardo Hallman got worse. He got worse from last year this year.
He was draftable, and now I just actually saw Dane Brugler from the Athletic. He's the guy that threw out that accusation that Fickle is literally closing all practices to NFL scouts for some crazy reason. Like he's not letting any scouts in. The only time scouts ever get to see the Badgers players do anything is in a game, and they look terrible. I mean, and Fickle, he said, "Oh, he knows he's lying," or no, that's not Fickle. He denied it. Or then I guess this dude's connected. He talks to scouts, and they say, "Yeah, he doesn't let us in." So I don't know. So, anyways, back to the Ricardo Hallman. Like someone has said, is there even anyone draftable on this team? And he's like, no, pretty much not. But he's basically hurting the chances for any of his players to get a deal as an undrafted rookie, right? So, now specifically Ricardo Hallman, someone's like, look, is he draftable? No, he's too small, too slow. I don't know. The dude's, I feel like he was on track to be, at least a second day 2 pick, right?
Yep.
Now all of a sudden it's just like the dude's just getting burnt by everyone.
It doesn't even matter. It's a no-name guys. It is literally the no-name guys that are burning Ricardo Hallman at this point. And I really thought last season it was, like you said, he was good. It was like Ricardo Hallman. It was like his island out there. It was like at some points I was like, you don't want to even throw this guy's way. He's that good. And now it's you could throw that way. It's fine. So if it's a regression of the team, maybe he's going down with them. But then if that's the case, man, we're ruining players. That's what's happening.
And who's going to want to come to Wisconsin if they don't get developed? That was what Kristen, all those other coaches were good at. Yeah, we didn't necessarily recruit at the highest level, but they could develop players. Now I know it's completely different because of the transfer portal and kids aren't going to sit around and wait like they used to, right? But I feel like there's just almost no development, and I don't know if that's Fickle's fault or if it honestly is because of the transfer portal. But
if you sit true to a kid though, maybe bring a 3-star and you sit true to him as a freshman, you're like, I'll bring you in. I picked you over top of these other good guys, but you're from Wisconsin, so I picked you. And you sit with them and you're like, hey, you develop throughout the years. I think you can get loyalty from those guys. But when you're, just bringing in these 4-stars from Florida, like Xavier Lucas, he has no ties to the state of Wisconsin. He doesn't care. That's the problem, I guess, where I have with the out-of-state recruiting with, not targeting the state, is that when you don't target the state, I feel like those guys don't have that Wisconsin feeling where they're going to be easily like, oh, I'll jump ship. I don't want to be here. Whereas if you get a guy from the Milwaukee area, from the Madison, he's more prone to stay because he has that background of Wisconsin back. He loves the state. He hates Minnesota. Those kinds of things.
Do you think Hunter Wohler would have stuck around at all if he wasn't from Wisconsin?
No, that's the thing.
I mean, that's the thing. He's such a loyal guy, but it's because he grew up a Badger fan, right? Yep. I mean, he might have stuck around just because that's the kind of person he is. But that's the guy that, when you were talking about that, that's the guy that immediately jumped in my mind as local kid, really good player. I mean, he was a higher rated recruit, but he stuck around because, granted, he also had a really good junior year. He racked up tackles like crazy in that defense, but I don't know. They weren't good.
No.
So it's, I don't know, frustrating for him. But what about Daryl Peterson? There's a guy, he was a guy that Wisconsin supposedly beat Alabama for a long time. He's been playing since he's been a freshman.
Yeah, they beat out.
Where's the development with him?
They beat out Alabama for Graham Mertz too, so that's sometimes
Hey,
I feel like those stories
you
are
know
crazy.
what? I'm a Graham Mertz truther. I think Wisconsin did not do right by him.
No, I think
even Paul Chryst said, like, admitted after he was fired, like, yeah, we didn't use him like we should have. We didn't use him the right way. Like, I think he got the raw end of the deal. And I think he looked halfway decent at Florida, but the problem with that is he was a lame duck quarterback because he was sitting in front of DJ Lagway.
Yeah, no, that's true. I could definitely see that. I thought Graham Mertz was just not the right guy for what Wisconsin was trying to do. And just did not benefit him at all being in Madison. Maybe it changed, like putting with Nick Saban, all them good wide receivers, all he had to do was just throw the ball. So I mean, it could have definitely benefited him being down there. So I mean, just I guess final thoughts, Badger football, just the Luke Fickell situation moving forward. I feel like I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm gonna be honest with everybody right now. I don't think Luke Fickell's getting fired. I don't think he is. I think at least for the season he's here, and I could honestly see him back next year. I think that McIntosh is a truther. I think he's going to invest everything he has into this football program because his job is tied to Luke Fickell, and he's in desperation mode now. So he's throwing it all down on the table. Maybe they get some good talent in there, and then we see what happens from there. That's kind of where I'm at right now. What are your thoughts, Christian?
I absolutely agree. I don't like for the a week or two ago, and Q asked me thoughts about it. I'm like, I think maybe there's dragging him along. He can play Ohio State and Oregon and just get smoked, and then they can let the interim come in and get smoked by Indiana. But I'm with you now. I think they're absolutely going to stick with him and into next year and at least give him another shot. Because I mean, you can always blame the schedule too. Like, man, we got the hardest schedule in the in college football, and your starting quarterback got hurt again, and there's tons of excuses, and I don't know. Fans just absolutely want to be mad. I'm mad about it, right? But I mean, maybe there was a little bit of truth to that, right? What if Billy Edwards was halfway decent and he could fix some of this stuff because Hunter Simmons looks terrible. Yes. Danny O'Brien, geez, going back a lot of years. Danny O'Neal also looks. I mean, he had a few flashes here and there, but otherwise he was overwhelmed. I don't know if Billy Edwards Jr. would have been, he would have been the answer, but I think definitely things could have been better. But also, you already have a very, very thin offensive line, and you lose your potential star left tackle in spring practice, and you have to bring Davis Hines in. You're already starting at a disadvantage. So maybe all of that, perfect storm with the super hard schedule. Maybe everything just Murphy's Law. Everything that could have went wrong did. Yeah. So I could see that, but also I don't know, man. I think he's gonna be back next year, and I don't really have the highest of hopes. The only glimmer of hope I have is guys like Mason Posa, or those young guys that are flashing already. I don't know. I'm fully on board. Let's get Carter Smith in. Let's see what he can do. My only problem is I'm only scared of what if he actually looks really good and all of a sudden we have a Xavier Lucas situation on our hands again and someone comes in and offers him a bag even though he's not even in the portal and he just leaves.
That'd be yeah.
That's my fear. Let's just keep stashing him away and we'll just throw Hunter Simmons out for the rest of the year or whatever and just let the team flop their way to a 2-9 record or whatever it is.
Let's just keep telling Carter Smith that he's bad. Let's just keep telling him he's bad. Let's just keep convincing him of that. And then next year,
man, you just can't quite beat out Milos or any of those guys. You're QB5 right now, man. Sorry.
Next year though. Yeah. Next year's your year. I promise you. Next year's
with some hard work in the offseason.
Your year there. I agree. There's just so many things pointing, and the energy that he showed after Ohio State, after the Iowa game, he looked defeated. He looked like he was broke. And then after they lost to Ohio State, he had this different kind of juice to him, a different kind of energy where he was kind of pumped up. I just
seems
feel
like a guy who knows he's not going anywhere.
He knows he's fine. He knows he's fine. He knows he was told he was fine. And I really think that's the case. So I know neither one of us is telling you guys out there, just so you know. And we'd love to hear your thoughts on this. 715-990-4914. That is 715-990-4914. Let us know your thoughts on Badger football, the direction of the program. Neither one of us is telling you guys that we want him back next year. We're just telling you what we feel like is going to happen next year. Those are two different things. Our feel like, our wants, and what we think is going to happen are two different things right now, and it's not that good. So we're going to be back here. We're going to hit a quick commercial break. We're going to come back, and we're going to talk some Badger hoops. A little bit better, right? Greg Gard's going to make us feel better. We're going to talk some Badger hoops when we come back from the break. Christian's going to stick around. We'll be back here after this quick Wisconsin Sports on the Go with Trage. I'm your host, Trage, as we come back here on this Wednesday. And hey, this next segment, we're going to talk some Badger hoops now. We're going to get you guys feeling better after that Badger football talk. This next segment is brought to you by Casa M Spice, the low sodium, clean label, no MSG, no fillers. This stuff is fantastic. You can put it on anything. You put it on steaks, ribs, eggs, anything in between, vegetables. If you're grilling, if you're tailgating, you need to add Casa M Spice to your spice regimen there. So Christian is back here. We're going to get to, before we get to this Badger basketball, we got to do our Casa M Spice Bold Player of the Week. And there can only be one man who we can give this Casa M Spice Bold Player of the Week award to. And that has got to be our guy, Micah Parsons, there with the Green Bay Packers. He was fantastic. He had 3 sacks. He had 4 tackles for a loss. He was massive down the stretch for the Green Bay Packers there against the Cardinals. Christian, off the top of your head, do you have a Casa? I'm just throwing this at you. I didn't even give you time to prepare. Do you have a Casa M Spice Bold Player of the Week?
If we want to talk bold, let's just do one bold play. We just talked about it. How about Sean West, the punter for the Badgers, huh? 19 on 4th and 19, he just decides, you know what, forget it. I'm like, offense isn't doing anything. How about I just pick this up? And he literally went and picked it up, and Fickle fully admitted that the best offensive play of the game was not planned, and it was just West doing his own thing. So good for him. Just completely bucking the offense, or bucking the the trend, and not really following what he's supposed to be doing, but he's picking up first downs for the Badgers.
That he might have would it have really made us feel bad if that was the leading rusher of the game? Because our leading rusher was 35 yards, and that was that Uka guy.
Gideon Atuka?
Yeah, so he had 35 yards. That rush was for 19 yards. The punter almost had the longest rush of the game. 20 yards. There you go. His rush was actually registered as 20 yards. So Cade Yakamele rushed for 30, and that Gideon rushed for 35. He almost had the longest rush.
West also didn't have to run behind that starting offensive line the other guys did. So he's already at an advantage, right?
We need to put the special teams. That punt line needs to be in on the offensive side of the football. That might do it. So let's get away from Badger football, because I don't even want to think that
I'm tired of being sad.
Oh my goodness. Like, there was somebody asked a question. They're like, do you think the Badgers will rush for more yards this season than Melvin Gordon's how many yards Melvin Gordon had in that game against Nebraska, which was like
408.
Yeah. So they asked if the Badgers would have more rushing yards on the season than he had in that one game. Currently, right now,
they got to be getting pretty close.
Their leading rusher. They said their leading rusher. Would their leading rusher?
Would any of them hit 408 yards? Yeah. Not a chance.
So Dillion Jones has 300. Yeah, so he's 108 yards away with 5 games to go.
Against Indiana, Minnesota, Washington,
Oregon.
Who else we got? Oregon
and Minnesota.
Well, that's the thing. It's hard to rack up rushing yards when you're down 30 points every single game.
That's true. You got to throw the ball around a little bit, so you can't really get that far there. So that's just crazy to think that there's comparisons to see, like, will a rusher on the season even touch what Melvin Gordon did in one game?
That's really bad.
Yeah. I heard Jesse Temple did one on Twitter. He asked if the Badgers would score more than 3 touchdowns on the season in what's left, and I don't know. I don't know. Somebody had asked the question to him, and I think he said they might score 3. And I was like, that might be pushing it. That might be pushing it for what they can do.
I don't know. Maybe all against Minnesota. I don't think we're scoring anything against Illinois, Indiana, maybe Washington.
Maybe Washington if we're lucky. Maybe Washington, they might find the end zone there. So let's get away from that. I don't even want to.
Yeah, okay.
Let's get out of there. Let's get out of there.
Basketball
time. Greg Gard is going to save the day for us. We watched that red-white scrimmage. That was I wasn't able to watch a full game. I didn't get over to Madison. It sounded like it was a great time. Everybody who went tweeted great things about it. But watching the highlights from what we saw, I love the look of this team. I love the depth of this team, what they look like right now. So we're going to kind of dive into the depth here. Let's look at that. First, I want to look at that guard position, because there's a couple guys that I want to tap into. Nick Boyd coming in, the transfer, the senior. He's been there, done that. He was on the FAU Final Four team. He's a been there, done that guard. He looks like he's going to be exciting. He looks like a guy who can push the pace. He looks like a great passer. And watching him in that red-white scrimmage, he can shoot it too. He can do it all for you. So I love watching him. And then Braden Carrington. I didn't know what to expect of him coming in or what to expect of him coming in. He's going to be like a Kamari McGee serviceable guard that can come in there and fill some holes for you. So I love him in that guard spot. And then you got Jack Janicki coming in behind that. Loved what we saw from him last year. And I think he's just going to progress from what we saw there. And then you have some other guys who could see some time in the guard role, maybe a guy like Zach Keenser, and then maybe a Jack Robinson if he doesn't fill into more of a 3 spot or something like that. You could maybe see him filling into a shooting guard spot. So, I mean, Christian, when you look at or like hear about that guard spot there, what do you like in what you're seeing from these guys?
Like you said, the depth, but I think also what I really like, because everyone has a defined role already, right? Boyd's going to come in and be, I mean, him and Blackwell are like option 1A and 1B for scoring, right? But I think Blackwell is going to be he's going to be like the 2 now, right? Guard's not going to be asking Blackwell necessarily to be the point guard. That's Boyd. Boyd's going to run the offense. He's going to be fast-paced. He's going to be doing stuff that's going to free Blackwell up, right? Last year we had like a combination of Blackwell and Klesmit as the point guard. We didn't really have a true point guard since Chucky left, right? So I like that. So like they have like defined roles there. Carrington, like you said, he's like a true 3 and D kind of guy. He's going to hit threes and he's going to play defense, kind of like Kamari McGee, only bigger. But yeah, then I think so. That's already like 3 guys for 2 positions. So there's some depth there with Carrington coming off the bench. I don't know. Can you count Rhodey as a guard? And Rhodey?
Well, maybe he could play. He could probably fill in there.
That's the thing with him. Like all practice and stuff, all you hear about is his passing ability. The dude's not going to be lighting it up. That's the thing. We don't need him to. He's going to be passing the ball to Boyd, to Blackwell, whoever needs to get it. I think he had 2 assists technically in the scrimmage. But he had 3 points and 4 rebounds. Like he's just kind of that guy that's going to do a lot of the little things, and he'll score. But that's not like they aren't going to depend on him to be a primary scorer. So then, I mean, like you said, you got Jack Janicki, like burst on the scene last year. I know that the program kind of opened up their checkbook to keep him. Blackwell and Winter were all, from what I hear, very well taken care of in the offseason to make sure they stick around. So like we talk about now, the football team's finally getting some money. Sorry to bring them back up, but like there has been money that has been put into the basketball program to keep their talent around. So Janicki's, I'm assuming coming off the bench, he's going to be, he's going to be really good in that second unit, like a guy that they're absolutely going to depend on. And then Hayden Jones, that freshman from New Zealand we talked about, like he's already like halfway a professional, right? Because he's already played kind of some pro ball over in New Zealand or, pretty close to it. But yeah, it's like as far as the guard position, like there's depth, which is really nice to see. But again, I think everyone kind of has a defined role where everyone fits in and the chemistry just looks good and, sounds good from everything we've been hearing.
Yeah, no, I love that. And the Black, I didn't mention Blackwell. I didn't want to mention Hayden Jones. I was looping them into what I could see as the 1 through 3 spots in this lineup are going to be a rotational thing where I could see you could have a lineup, and I think this is going to be a lineup with Boyd, with Blackwell, with Andrew Rhodey, and then you're going to see Rapp and Winter because Greg Gardner is the 2 big guys in there. So I think that's going to be a rotation there, and I think you could see, guys slipping in there where Braden Carrington could fill into the 2 or the 1, and then you could see a guy like Blackwell slide down into that 3 spot because Rhodey's out of the game, and now you mix in a different guy like Janicki near that top of that guard rotation with those 2. So I can see, that kind of rotation working there. I love the ability of Blackwell to work off ball. Yep. That is my favorite thing about this is having that true point guard is now Blackwell can facilitate off the ball. You have guys who can get him to open shots. With having weapons like they do now, I think in the shooting, Austin Rapp, I think is going to be the difference maker. Because, and this is my because, Steven Crowell, I love me some Big Steve. Don't get me wrong. I love me some Big Steve. He was not a 3-level scorer. He was sometimes an outside scorer, sometimes an inside scorer, but not physical enough to be an all-the-time inside scorer and not consistent enough to be an outside scorer. And he was never a middle ground, which I think Austin Rapp and Nolan Winter are. They're 3-level scorers. They're not afraid to hit the jump shot on you. They're also not afraid to take you down on the little post. They're not afraid to hit it from the outside too. I think that's the difference that Austin Rapp's going to bring into this is Steve was willing to do all of those. He just didn't do them at a high clip. And he was bullied, I think, down on the post at times. And that's something that I think now, Nolan Winter, I think he's put on a lot of upper body strength. I think he's gotten bigger. I think that's going to be huge. And this Austin Rapp, he's a big fella. And they have a lot of big fellas coming in here. Austin Rapp, he's big. I mean, he's what, 230, 238? That's a big dude to be pushing around.
That's a big guy.
So he's 238. Will Garlick's coming in at 243. That's a freshman. That is a freshman 7 foot.
7 foot.
Coming in at 243. That's a big dude. And then Austin Greppy's another guy. Elijah Gray, I don't know where he's going to quite fill in. I think he's probably going to be that guy to come in that 4 spot at times if they try to go with like that.
Is he going to be like that Xavier Amos last year? Except I don't think he can shoot as well as Amos could. But like, just kind of like he'll be like emergency depth.
Yeah, just an emergency depth kind of defender kind of guy. Nothing crazy. Nothing crazy with him. Not a super talent, but
they're never going to depend on him.
Yeah, and that's okay. You got to have guys like that. Like you said, you don't want to have to depend on some of these guys in this rotation. They just have to be darn good rotational pieces. And I think that's where Elijah Gray might. They have a lot of guys in this rotation, like a Jack Robinson who can shoot it from the outside. I love that stroke, that lefty stroke that he's got going. Kinginger, the freshman coming in, he can shoot it. They have a lot of depth pieces that I really like, and I think they can utilize all of them. I don't think they're going to go full Kentucky where they have two like blue and white team where they're like rotating 5 at a time. I don't think it's going to be crazy like that, but I think they have the ability to go 8, 9. If you got crazy with it in a game because you needed it, you can maybe pull a 10th guy off the bench and put him in. But I think they're going to have their rotation of 3 to 4 guys off their bench that they're going to be able to go to, and you're not going to take a huge step back. I think that's the big thing in years this Badger team has been lacking is when they went to the bench, there wasn't the same scoring. There wasn't the same intensity. I think now that you have a Jack Janicki coming off the bench, you're going to have like a Braden Carrington coming off the bench there. I mean, there's a couple different guys where you can see them contributing into this, but I think that's going to be the huge thing for me with this team. So I guess looking at the big guys, is there anything that stood out to you looking at those big fellas that we got now?
I mean, like, I think you kind of hit the nail on the head there. Like, I think Winter is going to take another step forward this year. I mean, he was always kind of like in the backseat to Krell. I mean, not that he should have been, but like Krell was the guy, right?
Yeah.
I think he's going to be, obviously the featured guy down low. But I think Rapp is going to be a really big part of this offense. A big guy that can step out and shoot and actually be a legitimate threat. Like you said, Krell could hit threes. Like he could hit a couple of games if he got hot, but otherwise there was games where he was just pounding the side of the backboard, you know? So I think Rapp, I think he had 15 points in the scrimmage. And so, like you said, 3-level scorer. He does really well with spacing. I think he's going to make life a heck of a lot easier for Winter down low. So I don't know. I think I don't want to say the missing piece, but I think he's going to bring an element to the Badgers that they didn't have last year as like with the 4. Because I think that's what Xavier Amos was kind of supposed to be, but didn't really work out. And obviously Tanjay just took over and was awesome. And then Blackwell was also awesome. So that helps. But, and I think Will Garlick, that freshman, I think when they first had him come in, I think he was just going to be like a guy, maybe in a year or two down the road, he gets some playing time. But Guard seems super impressed with him and is very impressed with like how much he's developed in the short time he's been there. So I think he's going to earn himself some playing time. He's definitely going to be a rim protector. He's not going to sit and probably shoot a bunch of threes, I would assume. But then, oh boy, let me just butcher this name. Alexis Bielaskis.
I'm gonna
have to have someone like drill into my head. It's gonna be like Giannis Antetokounmpo when he first got drafted. I couldn't say his name at all, and now it's just exactly what it is. But I think he's also gonna be. I think he's a little raw from what I see, but I think if you get a guy like that coming off the bench, like I think you're looking pretty good there. So like kind of like just like the guards, you got some depth, which is awesome.
Especially in the Big Ten where fouls get crazy. You play some other teams with some good big guys where fouls, like we saw last season when the Badgers played Danny Wolf and Matthew Golden. It got a little crazy because you got guys.
Vlad Golden.
Oh, Vlad. Who did I say?
Matthew Golden. I don't think he was playing Big Ten basketball. Sorry, I could have let that go, but I'm like, that's just a really funny. That was a really fun. That was just a really funny thought.
He just thinks he knows what he's talking about over there, and he's like Matthew Golden
just bodying up Stephen Crowell.
Yeah, he doubled. He went and played football down in Texas. He was up in Michigan playing basketball. Matthew Golden was all over the place last year. Vlad Golden and Danny Wolf. It took me a while to think Danny Wolf too. So I mean, it's basketball's been so long. I get it back in basketball.
Whoa.
But anyways, you got into a game against guys like that. You needed that depth. You needed that physicality, and the Badgers didn't have that. And I think now, and this is where I want to see this team get back to. I want to see this team getting back to that physicality down low in the post, having a post presence. It's something that I feel like they've lacked for years. And I thought last season they lacked that. And I think that's one of the crutches. One of the problems that they had was that they didn't have a post presence in some of those games. They didn't have a true rebounder, somebody to get down there, get dirty, get onto the glass, when the offense isn't clicking, because you're going to have nights where you can't score it from the outside and you need to go inside. You got to have that guy. And I think now they have that with an Austin Rapp, with a bigger and better Nolan Winter. And then some of the young guys that you mentioned there, even a guy like Ricardo Greppi in his second year now. And then you have, like you said, with Will Garlick. And also, I'm not going to say the name there, Alexis.
AB.
AB. We're going to call him AB for now until Matt LePay tells us how to say it. The freshman there from Lithuania. You have guys like that coming in. I think those guys, if you can get, because there's some big fellas. I mean, this is size that they haven't seen coming in a while. Steven Crowell wasn't this big coming in. Frank Kaminsky wasn't this big coming in. You have some guys with some actual size, some built size coming in there. And I think that's something that's going to be irreplaceable on a team like this, is that physicality portion of it. And I think, and we kind of talked about this at commercial, but bringing in a guy like Brad Davidson back to this program, I think he's going to bring that energy, that juice. And I think that's going to also help on that defensive side, where he's going to help guys, because watching highlights of him, you knew that he was always giving you 110%. Even when he was stinking on the offensive end, he was always giving it defensively. I mean, we had the Charge game, right? And,
I was just going to ask you.
Still driving them nuts.
Who do you think is going to take the most charges this year because of Brad Davison? Which player?
Rhodey.
Really? Oh, I was going to say Blackwell. Blackwell seems like that pesky guy that just likes to chirp all games. So
Blackwell's going to take a lot of haymakers, if anything. I don't think he's going to take.
He's going to be chirping and he's going to be taking charges, and Brad Davison's going to be hyping him up from the sideline. And
who was the one last year? Was that against Arizona? That was Caleb Love, wasn't it? Who shoved him down at that end? Yeah, he's good.
He's always talking.
You gotta love guys that talk that smoke.
Absolutely.
You gotta love guys that talk it, and then they just not
used to that with Wisconsin, are we?
Yeah, I mean, you like it. And Brad Davidson, he was the master of it. You knew they were. Max Klesmit, I think not a lot of people knew it, but Max Klesmit talked a lot of that too. He was a guy who trash talked a lot out there, and it was fun. You got to have guys like that. So you love that. You love that with them there. So I guess any final thoughts you have about this Badger basketball team? They open up, isn't it this Friday? Friday night they're going to open up at the Pfizer against Oklahoma. Is that this Friday?
Oklahoma. I think it's the 24th. This Friday.
This Friday. So this Friday,
7:00 on Big Ten Plus. If anyone has that.
They always make us have to pay for something more to watch Badgers. So we're going to all have to get Big Ten Plus.
I think that's awesome. Oklahoma in an exhibition. But then they got next
I love
week,
it.
Wednesday they got Platteville and then normal WIAC. They play one of them. So Guard gets to coach against his brother. And then they officially open up the season November 3rd against Campbell.
I like the Oklahoma because I think it gives you a different element than what Platteville does.
Oh yeah,
and it should go without saying, I guess, but you don't get to you get, because the Oklahoma is going to go into that game playing their guys because they also want to see it, and they're also going to give 110% because they're also still playing for starting spots and stuff. So I mean, this is going to be a game where you're going to see two teams who are going to be in the thick of things in their conferences, most likely going at it here in the Pfizer, a big arena to an NBA arena. I mean, it's one of those atmospheres where you're going to get the best out of these two teams. So I love it too. I absolutely love the thought of playing Oklahoma. I'm
so jacked for this season. Their schedule is so loaded. They got BYU. They got the number that AJ Dibonasta or whatever. He's the number one recruit in the country last year. Goes to BYU because he's from Utah. Got paid a ton of money. Whatever. The team that knocked us out last year, that's going to be an awesome game. They play Villanova, who I know is down, whatever. But, I mean, who do they have now? They got Willard, the guy who's is that his name? The guy who was at Maryland last year?
Maryland, yep.
Yep, he took over. I guarantee they're going to be better. you got Purdue. You got, oh man, do we have Purdue twice?
The Big Ten slate's loaded.
We have Purdue twice this year. Like, oh man, there's gonna be so many good games this year.
And you could end the season at Purdue in a game that could be for a lot of things when it comes down to it at the end of the year.
They end it with
at
Purdue too.
Purdue.
Oh, if that could have been a home game at the end of the year, that'd been
awesome.
Oh,
it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun. I see the BYU games on Peacock at 3:00 in the afternoon. On a Friday?
Oh, that's the Friday right after Thanksgiving, isn't it?
Oh, yuck. Why is it on at 3:00 on a Friday?
Is it?
Peacock?
No, it's the Friday before Thanksgiving. That's the Friday before opening gun season.
Worse. What are we doing on a Friday? We have day jobs.
Right?
We're working day jobs.
I'm gonna be driving up to the hunting cabin, man. Like, you think I guess I'm just gonna have to listen to it, but
you're just gonna have to listen to Matt LePay's sweet voice with Brian Butch tell you what's going on.
Could be worse.
It could be worse. You could have to listen on Peacock to who even knows who's going to be the announcer that night.
Or just Wisconsin football.
We're jacked because we can talk something else in Wisconsin football when we talk about Wisconsin sports. So, Christian, thank you as always for stopping by tonight here on the show. Let the people know where to find you out there across social media.
You can find me at Christian Borman on pretty much all the social media things, and check out the Badger Backer.
He's going to have great stuff. He's now excited again because Badger basketball's back, so he's got things to write about. Because, like, I was listening to it, it was, I think Zach Heilprin said it. He said that there was a show from the Carolina Panthers where they, like, canceled their show because they had nothing good to talk about anymore with the Panthers. And he's like, we're not doing that yet, but it's there. It's there right now. And it's just like, yeah. So, I mean, glad we got something else to talk about. So Christian's got other stuff there on Badger Backer. Make sure you guys are checking them out. Just a little bit to subscribe and everything. Like, there ain't nothing to it. And you get great content. That's all you need to know. Christian Borman there on all social media platforms, and then Badger Backer across all social media. So Christian, thank you as always. We'll be back here after the quick commercial break. We're going to talk some Brewers when we come back from the break. We'll be back on Wisconsin. Welcome back into Wisconsin Sports on the Go with Trey. I'm your host, Trey, as we come back here on this Wednesday. And hey, this next segment of the show here, we're going to talk some Brewers. After that great segment we just had talking Badgers there with Christian, we're going to talk some Brewers here. This next segment is brought to you by 1891 Winery. They celebrate history with flavor. Sip on artisan wines crafted on location, or grab a cold beer and pair it with a giant pretzel or pizza. You can watch the Badgers down there. Not the Brewers anymore. You can watch Packers, right? You can watch Packers. You got a whole bunch of slew of things you can watch down there. They got TVs. They got all kinds of stuff down there. They have live music, special events, planning something private. They book parties too. Check them out there. They're open Fridays from 4 to 7, Saturdays 11 to 6, and Sundays 11 to 5. Follow them on Facebook for upcoming events there. 1891 Winery there in Greenwood, Wisconsin. So we got lots I want to dive into yet here tonight. I want to get to the Brewers now. Brewers dropped the series to the Dodgers, 4-game sweep. It was, as a lot of fans put it, devastating. The end of this season was, and you have those fans that tell you it was what they expected. It was not what you expected. And then you have the other ones who say, well, if they would have got Suarez, like I said, you know, they would have won. So if they would have got this guy, like I said, yeah, whatever, a month ago or whatever, you were telling us that they didn't need Suarez, that he was struggling where he went to the Mariners, and it wasn't going to be worth it anyways. They dodged a bullet. So whatever. That's enough out of that. So we got fans all over the place telling us different things. Here's my thoughts on the way that it went, the way that it ended. The way that it ended was the way that it started. Lackluster. Nothing there. No spark. No energy. Nothing. Team looked lost. Looked like there was no fight. No give. That's what I saw. That is what I watched to end this thing. That's what I saw against the Yankees to start the year, and that's what I saw to end it against the Dodgers. They looked defeated. They looked like they didn't believe. They didn't look like they didn't believe they were good enough to be on that field with the Los Angeles Dodgers from game 2 on. You want to talk about hitting wise? They were never there from game 3 of the NLCS until the end. They weren't there. But I want to talk about the way that I watch. You watch them emotionally, the way that they looked, like their body language out there on the field. And the guy that I harped on it last week. I said, Christian Yelich has got to do something eventually. He's the worst for it. Watch him. Just watch him. When he was struggling, he was just walk back to the dugout. 3 pitches back to the dugout. Well, I really want to not like harp on it. I really, because I know just by hearing him talk and watching him, he carries a lot of this on his shoulders. I do. I understand that. I watch him. I see it. I can understand it. I hear it in his voice. I see it in the way that he talks. But after a while, it begs the question, because they say, well, the Brewers have a star, right, in Christian Yelich. I think he's a veteran. I think he's a veteran presence. But I think he's a behind-the-scenes veteran presence in that locker room. I don't think he's a lead-by-example guy. I think they're missing that. I thought William Contreras could be that, but I thought William Contreras went away from what he wanted to do in this series. All these guys did. All these guys look like all they want to do is hit the long ball. They thought that to win this series, they gave into the noise. To win this series, they had to slug it. They couldn't just win it putting the ball in play and doing what they did. Because I got in this argument with all these people out there. They said, well, the Brewers, they haven't faced these pitchers like this yet. They haven't faced back-to-back with Snell, Yamamoto, Glasnow, and Shohei Ohtani. Not many teams have. It's a really tough four to have to deal with in a row. It really is. But the Brewers, they didn't even work counts. The team that we watched all season long, what I loved about them the most was even in the losses, they would work counts to get to bullpens. We said it the whole time. If the Brewers could just get to that bullpen, the Brewers had the better bullpen and they would win those games. By the time they finally got to the bullpen, they were out. They were like, the team was defeated. They didn't care. They were like, it looked like they checked out. Seriously, that's what I saw. I don't know if you let me know what your thoughts were on the end of the Brewers season, the way that it went, everything like that. Let me know. 715-990-4914. That is 715-990-4914. I'd love to hear your thoughts on the Brewers, because the way that I saw it was this team checked out. There was no fight. There was nothing of that left. From certain guys, maybe Caleb Durbin, Jackson Chourio, I saw it. Jared Koenig, he pitched well. Aaron Ashby gave you everything I got. He was overused. He was 100% overused. You can look across the board. You can say Chad Patrick was fantastic. You can say he gave it everything he had in that series. Some guys, maybe they did. They just didn't have it. And the fight looked like it was lost. Durangs and Freliks and Yelich's of the world. Contreras trying to do way too much. Just put the ball out there. Make the defense make mistakes, right? That was the biggest thing the Brewers went through all season long. They didn't win a lot of their games because they hit the crap out of the ball. They didn't win a lot of their games because, they were strongly the better team that day. They didn't win a lot of those games because they didn't face good pitching. They beat Paul Skeens twice. But how did they do it? Putting the ball in play, making the other team work. Paul Skeens is the best pitcher in baseball. Has proven it year after year. And the Brewers somehow found it. Now, it wasn't back-to-back-to-back nights. No. But the Brewers got beaten game one, and it was according to some people, if Bryce Terang would have taken the ball off his knee, they would have maybe won the game. Okay, whatever. Okay, so after losing game one, your excuse now is that they faced another good pitcher. You got to learn how to hit good pitchers. And otherwise, it comes back to the point of a lot of fans saying that they didn't have enough good hitting, which they had in the regular season. They just didn't have in the postseason again. So then it comes back to, we all go full circle back to Mark Ananasio. And this is are we at this point already where usually it's before the season where all the sportscasters and everything in Wisconsin will complain because Mark Ananasio didn't spend enough money in the offseason. Did he do enough to get this team ready for the postseason? Hindsight? Yeah, because at the moment, after the trade deadline and everything was done, what were every fan in Wisconsin saying? They won the trade deadline way before the trade deadline because they got Andrew Vaughn and Quinn Priester. That was the consensus. 99.9% of people said that. But now it's, they didn't do enough. They didn't do enough. What got them there was enough. But what got them there is what they went away from when they got into the postseason. And you can say, yes, I will admit, they had really good pitching across the way. Really good pitching. Between Ohtani and Glasnow and everybody in between. Really good pitching. They didn't battle counts. They didn't work anybody. They didn't put good at-bats together. Constructive at-bats. That's the thing. If Yelich went up there as a crafty veteran and just fouled some balls off, worked Blake Snell to a 10-pitch count, that's huge. But nobody did that. That was the problem in this series. Nobody went up to the plate and had a Blake Perkins game 1 of the NLDS against Matthew Boyd, work him to 12 pitches, single one to center. Because when you work a guy enough, and this is what the Brewers did better than anyone all season long against really good pitchers, they worked the counts. And when they got the count in their favor, because they got 12 pitches, they've seen everything this guy wants to give them. And at that point, the pitchers are they're tired because they've thrown you everything they got. Now they're just trying to throw it by you. Now they got to give you something, and they're like, you're going to hit it. It's just a matter of my defense makes a play. Taking advantage of mistakes when they're there. The Brewers didn't. You want to tell me Blake Snell, Yamamoto, Glasnow, and Shohei Ohtani, nobody had a mistake pitch in there. They didn't take advantage of mistakes. They didn't have an opportunity to hit with a guy in scoring position outside of game 4 when they had 1 run early. Outside of that, it was nothing. This team just, the way that they get, what they did to get there, they went away from. And that's what drove me nuts the most. So you want to hear, that's my thoughts on the end. It ended like it began. And that's the worst part. If they would have won game 3 or 4, I think we would have felt a lot better because we would have seen this team win one more time. But from the Cubs series, that high to game 1 of the NLCS and then just a slow drop, that's what hurt. That's what hurt. This team it was not what we watched for 163, 4 games, whatever you want to say. It wasn't what we watched. Maybe I saw this one. Maybe if you had a Rhys Hoskins on the roster, having a guy who is a veteran, a been there, done that guy. Maybe would it have hurt? No, I honestly, to be honest with you guys, if I had to pick, end of the day, give me Rhys Hoskins or Brandon Lockridge, why would you not have had Hoskins on the roster? Like, that's just my honest of why. What was Lockridge's purpose outside of running? He's a pinch runner. You have Collins, you have Churiel, you have Blake Perkins, you have Sal Frelick, you have Jake Bauers if you need him, and you had Christian Yelich who could play the outfield. You have 6 guys already. Why do you need Lockridge? It just seemed crazy to have him there. So would a Rhys Hoskins have helped? Maybe a crafty veteran, been there in the postseason, has hit in the postseason, been in big moments, had big moment hits. You didn't have a guy on the roster who had big moment hits in the postseason in those kinds of situations against really good teams. Contreras had a big home run and a big moment, but I don't believe that any of those guys have had moments on top of moments where it was just consistent, right? They've been there. They've done that for years. Rhys Hoskins is a guy who's been there and done that. A crafty veteran. They were missing that, I believe. So maybe having a guy like that would have been in there. But it felt like there was something missing. It felt like the Brewers just kind of went away from what made them successful. And I think that out of all the things, I think that is what hurt the most to watch. It wasn't that they lost. It was in the way that they lost, not playing their brand of baseball and trying to play what they had. You try to match firepower with firepower. They just didn't have it. And you play a team like the Dodgers, and it honestly, I just think it makes a team, because we saw it with the Phillies, it makes a team believe the only way they're going to beat the Dodgers is to play perfect. And they do things that they wouldn't normally do. They go away from things that they would normally do, and they try to play the game perfect. And the Brewers, the beautiful part about the Milwaukee Brewers of the 2025 season was they were imperfect. The things that they did, the way that they played the game was imperfect. And when you play a team like the Dodgers, sometimes it gets in your head that you need to be something that you're not. And I think that was another thing that coming off this series, I kind of looked at and I said, man, I just feel like when you watch a team play the Dodgers, they try to change themselves when they don't have to. It's just when you look at that team, the firepower that they have in the lineup, on that pitching staff, it's just you look at it and you say, wow, I have to be good. I have to be really good. That's what sometimes it takes you. It takes you out of your game, out of your elements, and you get worse. And I think that's part of what we saw in this series here. So that was something that I kind of went off of there. Outside of that, the season didn't end in a World Series. It didn't. How do you look back at this Milwaukee Brewers season? And that's a question I want to answer when I come back. The season didn't end in a World Series, but how do you look at this season as a whole? As a whole, how do you grade it? Where do you look at it? How do you feel after watching the 2025 Brewers, the way that the season went, how it ended? How do you feel? I'd love to hear it. 715-990-4914. That is 715-990-4914 here. We're going to get to a little bit more Brewers. We come back from the break here. We're going to get to a commercial. We're going to come back. We're going to get to a little bit of more Brewers as we wrap up hour number 1. We look ahead to hour number 2. Lots of stuff to dive into yet here tonight on the show. We'll be right back here into Wisconsin Sports on the Go with Trage. I'm your host, Trage, as we come back here on this Wednesday. And hey, this next, we'll wrap up hour number 1. We're going to look ahead to hour number 2. This little last segment is brought to you by Foreman's Hardware. They offer you everything from home essentials to farm supplies, house to farm, grills to drills. Foreman's Hardware has got you covered. Visit today in Loyal, Colby, or Medford, Wisconsin. Tell them I sent you. Tell them Trade sent you. Get 5% off. Tell them I sent you down there. 5% off. If you need some Traeger pellets, if you need maybe a Traeger itself, maybe you need some gardening supplies yet. They got tillers, they got lawnmowers, they got everything. Snow blowers coming up here. Don't want to talk about snow, but they got snow blowers, snow shovels, everything in between. Check them out there. Foreman's Hardware in Loyal, Colby, or Medford, Wisconsin. So we're going to get to hour number 2. We're going to have Ummer stopping by. We're going to talk some Packers. We got some Bucks talk to get to later on with Kyle. We got some NFL talk. We got all kinds of stuff to get to yet tonight here on the show. So make sure you're coming back. Hour number 1 is in the books. Hour number 2 coming at you after this quick commercial break.